Ever feel like, man, this whole money thing is kind of like broken? Like maybe it's what's messing everything up.
Yeah, it's a pretty common feeling, actually.
Well, buckle up because on this deep dive, we're talking about ditching the whole system, like straight up chucking money out the window.
Out with the old, in with the resource-based economy,
Yeah.
right?
No more dollar bills, just sharing based on what the planet can actually handle.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of wild, right?
It's a pretty radical idea. Basically, we're talking about managing all of Earth's resources to meet everyone's needs, directly, instead of using money to get things done.
Okay, hold on. No money at all. So, like, how does anything get done in this resource utopia? Like,
Right.
do we all just, like, magically get what we need?
Well, imagine this. You wake up, you're hungry, right? But instead of worrying about grocery shopping or how much money you have, there's a system.
Like a super smart system.
Yeah, think AI-powered networks. They're keeping track of all the food production across the globe. They can see shortages coming before they even happen. And then, boom, everything's distributed like clockwork. Everyone gets fed.
So no more fighting over the last gallon of milk at the store.
Exactly. It's about cooperation, not competition. And it's not just about food either. Imagine the system working for everything. Housing, healthcare, education, the works.
So everyone gets what they need. No more worrying about affording rent or health care bills.
You got it. It all comes down to meeting everyone's needs, not just the needs of the people who can afford it.
Now, this whole radical idea, it came from a guy named Jacque Fresco. And get this, he wasn't always about this resource-based economy thing. He actually lived through the Great Depression.
Wow, talk about seeing the flaws in the system firsthand, right?
For real. That experience really messed him up, but like in a good way. He knew there had to be a better way. And get this guy, he started out designing safer fans for children. Talk about practical.
Right, talk about starting small and then dreaming big. But that just shows you he wasn't afraid to tackle problems head on, whether it was making a safer fan for a kid or, well, reimagining the entire global economy.
Yeah, like going from 0 to 60. But I guess that's what happens when you see how badly things can go wrong. He wasn't about just fixing the system. He wanted to hit the reset button.
Exactly. He saw the root of so many problems, suffering, inequality. He traced it back to this idea of scarcity.
Like this fear that there's not enough to go around.
Yeah, exactly. So he's thinking, okay, how do we get rid of that fear? How do we create a world where everyone has what they need? And you know what he landed on? Technology.
Like robots are going to save us kind of thing.
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that. But yeah, he saw technology as the key to unlocking abundance, breaking free from that constant rat race we're all stuck in.
Makes sense, but was it all just theory? Or did he actually try to put this resource-based economy into practice?
Oh, he was serious. Fresco went and built an entire research center called the Venus Project down in Florida.
Hold it, wait. A whole research center dedicated to this?
Yeah.
What was it like? Some kind of futuristic commune?
Think sustainable cities, cutting-edge technology, everyone pitching in. It was meant to be a real-world example of what a resource-based economy could look like.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. But let's be real. Could a system like this actually work in the real world? I mean, we're talking about human nature here. Competition, greed. Are we really ready to share everything like that?
$1 million question, right? Fresco was a big believer that a lot of how we act, like that greed and competition you're talking about, it's not some, like, inherent flaw.
Oh, so you're saying it's not that we're just naturally greedy jerks.
Well, not entirely, no. Fresco argued that a lot of it comes from the systems we live in. When we feel insecure, like there's not enough to go around.
It's like everyone for themselves, right?
Exactly. But what if we could eliminate that fear? What if we could create a world where everyone felt safe, secure, and taken care of?
I mean, that sounds amazing, but is that even possible? Like, are we hardwired for that kind of cooperation?
It's a really intriguing thought, right? What if we could actually create a world where people work together instead of constantly battling it out?
It's a nice thought, but let's get real for a second. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, we find a way to eliminate scarcity, like poof, it's gone. Does that mean everyone's just going to be hanging out, writing poetry and composing symphonies all day? What about the not-so-fun stuff? The stuff that keeps society chugging along, the everyday jobs that nobody really wants to do?
You're hitting on a really important point. And this is where Fresco's vision gets pretty interesting. See, he wasn't saying that work would disappear entirely. It's more like, in a resource-based economy, work becomes about purpose, not just a paycheck.
So you're saying we'd actually want work?
Imagine waking up every day and choosing to contribute your skills, your talents, to something that genuinely interests you. And the best part, your basic needs, they're already taken care of. No more stressing about making rent or putting food on the table.
Okay, so no more dreading Monday morning.
Mm.
Instead, I'm like jumping out of bed, stoked to go to work.
Exactly. Think about it. If you didn't have that financial pressure, wouldn't you be more likely to pursue something you're truly passionate about, even if it wasn't some big shot, high paying job?
I can see the appeal,
Mm.
for sure, but we got to talk about the elephant in the room here, AI. Fresco seemed pretty gung-ho about advanced technology, especially AI being like the mastermind behind this whole operation. But isn't there a risk there? Like, are we going to become too reliant on machines, or even scarier, what if we give AI way too much power?
Those are valid concerns. Totally understandable. And to be fair to Fresco, he recognized those potential pitfalls too. But in his mind, it wasn't about just handing over the keys to the robots and calling it a day. It was about using technology as a tool to liberate humans from those boring, repetitive tasks, to create a system that actually benefits everyone, not just the machines.
Yeah, sounds good in theory, but like, how do you actually design a system that's fair, that's equitable, and doesn't just create new ways for some people to have more power than others?
$1 million question again, right? And there are no easy answers. Fresco was a big proponent of transparency and democratic decision-making. He imagined a system where everyone has access to information about resources, how things are produced, and what society actually needs. It's about breaking down those walls, letting the light in.
So instead of a bunch of powerful people making decisions behind closed doors, it's more of an open forum, a collective effort.
Exactly. Imagine global forums, online platforms, even using AI-assisted tools to help people make informed decisions about how resources are managed and shared.
Okay, that sounds like a pretty massive shift from the way we do things now.
Hmm.
And honestly, even if we could pull it off, getting everyone on the same page, getting them to agree on, well, anything, that feels like an uphill battle. We're talking about redesigning the very fabric of society here. It's like, how do you even begin to wrangle all those different opinions?
Yeah, it's a monumental task, for sure. But Fresco truly believed that it was possible, that the potential benefits, a world without poverty, war, a world that's actually sustainable, that it was all worth fighting for, even if it seemed impossible.
Okay, but let's just say, for argument's sake, that we do figure it out, that we actually pull off this whole resource-based economy thing. What does everyday life look like? Are we all living in these, like, identical pods, eating algae paste, wearing the same boring clothes?
That's funny. No. Fresco's vision wasn't about erasing individuality. It was actually the opposite. He was all about diversity and letting people express themselves.
So no robot overlords or anything.
Nope. He imagined these vibrant cities, designed with sustainability in mind, of course, but also with plenty of green spaces, parks and gardens, places where people would actually want to live and connect.
So less concrete jungle, more like
Yeah.
actual jungle.
Exactly. And imagine a world where education's a priority, where everyone has the chance to learn and grow. You could study astrophysics or sculpture, whatever your heart desires, without worrying about, like, student loan debt or having to choose a practical career.
Okay, now that's a future I can get behind. But even with all that freedom, all those resources, wouldn't there still be, like, disagreements, conflicts? I mean, we are human, right? A little drama never hurt anyone.
Of course. Fresco wasn't naive enough to think that a resource-based economy would magically erase all conflict. But he believed that if you remove those basic triggers, the scarcity, the inequality, that constant pressure to put profit above everything else, well, people might just surprise you.
So it's not about changing human nature. It's about creating a system where our best qualities can actually thrive.
Exactly. And that's what makes Fresco's work so fascinating, even all these years later. It reminds us that we don't have to be stuck in the same old patterns, that we can actually imagine and maybe even create a better future.
It's a powerful thought. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the resource-based economy, I want to leave you with this. What if you had the chance to hit the reset button on society? What kind of world would you build? What values would matter most to you? It's something to think about as we navigate this crazy, complicated world. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Catch you next time.